Welcome back to Iron Sharpens Iron, where I have different guests on and we dive into the Word going verse by verse. I hope you enjoy this one.
Psalm 119, 130.
The unfolding of your words gives light. It imparts understanding to the simple. That's got to be Solomon talking about that. Is that what this is?
I believe so. I think that's correct.
Yeah. It's a lot like the Proverbs. The unfolding of your words gives light. It imparts understanding to the simple. That actually, that's the same thing about what we were talking about a second ago with the word. The word being an instruction manual,
Right.
being a dialect. And, it's just like the construct of communication. It gives, it literally boldly states right there that the unfolding of your words gives light. So when you break that context down, the unfolding, that means there's something that is folded up and it's going to take a little bit of work to unveil it. So the work of your salvation to unveil the truth of which he's trying to speak through to you comes with work. So you're going to have to work out this salvation. You're going to in order to understand him, everything.
Yeah.
And it's light to the darkness of your life. And the darkness would be like this. If I stuck you out in the middle of the forest and said, all right, Jacob, I dropped you in the middle of the national forest here in North Carolina with no light, no recollection of where you are, find your way home. And then poof, I'm gone. And you're going to be like, oh, snap. What do I do now? And I have a motto: the first light you see, walk towards it. That's the best motto I can say. And that is a very good godly construct to say, like in the darkness of life, in the forest of life, when stuck out there, find the light and walk towards it. Like set yourself in order to follow what you know, which is going to be your faith, which is why a lot of people get lost at the wayside because they have no foundational principles concerning faith.
Right.
And, let's put it like this. Everybody was born into the world. We hear success stories of people being like, I was put into foster care at a young age. I don't know who my parents are. I was brought up. I was used and abused and mistrusted. They've been through the ringer. But you look at their life and they're a success story based off of their choices of what they chose to keep pressing into, but not rather than choosing to live in the circumstance of which they've been dealt. So it all is a byproduct of choice, of willingness to choose to succeed, choose to keep working at it, to choose to keep shedding light on the darkness of life.
There's one I'm trying to find it, where Jesus in Matthew talks about basically being, maybe it's in the section in Salt and Light, being basically like projecting and being the light
Of
within within darkness.
Yeah, you're talking about where he talks about being, I know exactly what you're talking about. Hold on.
Oh, this is it. I think it's 5:14 in Matthew. You are
Mm-hmm.
the light of the world, which I guess you said. A city on the hill cannot be hidden. No, you know what? I don't think that's actually it. That is an interesting verse, though, where it talks about it'd be odd for someone to put a cup over a lamp.
Yeah.
So why hide your faith, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? I guess that could be it, and maybe I'm just remembering it wrong.
Well, if you read the Gospels in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, there's a lot of the same verses with one another, but they all shed light in different construct concerning what one point of view were. From Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they're each individual point of views concerning that point of reference with Jesus, which is why I think that the Gospels are so beautiful, because it goes to show the diversity between the believer, and I think that that's something a lot of people falter in. But talking about what you were talking about, the salt and light, I love it. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown and trampled under people's feet. You are the light of the world, a city set on a hill that cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven.
Should have kept reading. That was the end of it. But yeah, that the salt thing is probably pretty relatable right now too, especially with all the snow coming in the areas over here. They're just getting all the sidewalks and storefronts.
That's for sure. And probably my wife's food. She puts enough salt on everything to drop a horse into cardiac arrest. So
Yeah.
I tell her all the time, like, that's enough salt.
Have you ever seen Futurama?
Yes.
There's a episode where Bender, like, obviously he can't taste, but he learns how to cook, and he's like, "This is just under the lethal dose of salt."
Yeah. I haven't watched that show in years. I was probably a teenager since the last time I had ever watched it. I don't watch much TV. I watch YouTube. That's about all I watch, and it's all based off of hunting and worship related, and that's about it. Hunting, fishing, and worship.
Yeah, I don't watch too much anything new anymore because it's either garbage or just not any good.
Yeah.
The last movie, I don't even watch comedies anymore. And the last comedy I watched, I felt gross. Like I needed a shower afterwards. I was like, I shouldn't have finished that movie.
Mm-hmm. That's everything nowadays. Truthfully, and I've said this a lot, everything nowadays has an agenda. And it's very unfortunate.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's unfortunate that there cannot be any more, there can't be purity in anything, but there's scrutiny in everything. And that's very unfortunate. I was talking with a friend the other day talking about, comedy, how it's just not the same. Like even with kids, their comedy and our comedy is not the same comedy. And everything is very vulgar and very just it's just very disgusting, to be honest. So if it's not vulgar and not just as nasty as they can make it, then it's not viewable. And it's like, well, I'm not about it. So
yeah, it's no fun. It ruined everything. Now I'm just trying to watch older stuff with my wife.
Yeah.
My dad's watched the Andy Griffith show, the In a Circle, over and over again, more times than I think he can even count.
Yeah. There's a barber shop here in town that every time you go in there to get a haircut, that's all that's playing is Andy Griffith.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. And
that's actually the place that's based on is only like 2 hours from me. I haven't had a chance to go there yet, but my dad wants to make a trip up there.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I can't get into the old style shows. I don't know. It's just not my style. I used to sell cars. We had a guy in our parts department. Every day when we would go into lunch, he would always be in there watching, what was that show he always was watching? It was one of them old Western style shows.
Lonesome Dove?
I don't know. All I know is he always watched it every time we were in there. And I would just, oh, Lord.
I think there's another one that's like on whatever that channel is that plays those. It's like one of those that's on there all the time. I can't think of the name of it, but yeah, I don't know. Not that it matters. This show is sponsored by that really old show.
Yeah, a dog's back here snoring up a storm. He's a giant.
Yeah, I can't really hear him, so I think you're good.
Yeah, he's snoring up hard. So he's a big old Great Dane, so his snores are the equivalent of a Richter scale. So
yeah, that's actually what the other guy that I interviewed, he was saying he was doing something in the South. He might have even been in Florida or whatever it was, or maybe like South Carolina. And he said he saw a doe going through the woods, and he thought it was a Great Dane.
Oh, wow.
He's just used to his deer being so much bigger.
Yeah. That's different for him to have bigger deer in Alabama.
That's what I'm wondering if I remember the state wrong. which now I have like when I edit this, I'll have to be like North Dakota or whatever it was, just audio dubbed over.
Yeah.
Like, no, I totally remember. No, that's part of the problem too, is that I think I'm probably gonna run into people. I mean, you're like you were saying, you recognize my voice if you weren't looking, kind of thing. So your particular podcast was very engaging, and there's a lot that I remembered about it. That being said, there's probably things that I've mixed up in my head that I think you said that someone else said, or not the other way around. And some people's stories are so similar that it is hard for me to remember who said what.
Right. I'm sure. It's a lot to do whenever you're talking to people pretty much weekly almost about it. So.
Oh yeah. So some like one day after another too, because I've done, I think it was leading into New Year's. I did like 3 or 4 in a row. And some of those are just now coming out.
Yeah.
Which helps me. So I could separate my time a little bit. I'm actually trying to, shorten my workflow because the editing is taking a heck of a lot longer than I anticipated when I got into this.
Yeah.
So it's been taken away from some other things that have been on my plate. So I've been doing some research on some different AI stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that helps get things done. Especially needed to do this week because I'm already halfway through the week and I haven't even started on the one I'm releasing Monday.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, if AI could do the things that I wanted it to do, I would use it. But every time I've ever tried to use AI, it just craps the bucket. So
yeah, I had that problem, and then I had someone that was pretty good at it teach me how to speak to AI, to like Chat GPT and things like that. That was a little bit of a game changer. So that knowledge is I've been able to expand on that sense. And like one of the things that takes me the most is I like to do descriptive time codes. So I think I'm going to test it on this next one, but I think I figured out how to have that do that part for me, and then I'll clean it up. Because I can then edit a lot quicker. I'm good at reading audio tracks, so I can see like, oh, there's a blurb there. That's probably where I need to cut. So I can skim through these videos a lot quicker if all I have to do is focus on editing, and then I just import it into the AI to give me my descriptions, and I should be good to go. Yeah. So hopefully that'll work out. Okay. Yeah, and then at some point, if this ends up having any success financially, then I'd be able to hire an actual editor and just focus on the interviews.
The day that I can hire a cameraman for myself will be the greatest day of my life, and someone that knows how to edit. Because I just tell you, people forget about that part. Like when you make good content, like I'm a stickler over wanting my content to be like, I just want it to be good. I don't want it to be trash. I want it to be exciting. I want it to be very, like entertaining. So that's a lot of work because I'm my worst critic. Like, I will watch my videos on YouTube over and over and over, and I will analyze and critique every little detail that I'm doing. But it's because I just want to make it really good. And I think if you don't consider your work or your crafts enough to do that, then you're never going to, establish a sense of really good content.
Yeah.
You can tell some people that just throw it on there and let it go. And sometimes it works, but I'm sorry. I'm too great OCD crazy for that. I want it to be engaging. I want it to be cool. I want it to be entertaining and stuff like that. So,
yeah. That's definitely, that's part of the film bug is you get, it's hard to let certain things go, especially like when you're doing content all the time. That's the part I'm struggling with, is that I don't want there to be a hiccup. I don't want to regret uploading something. Cause if it was like Vimeo, you could replace that file so I could always fix it later, but I don't have that option with YouTube. Mm-hmm. So I need to get it the first time, and I have to do it quickly because I'm trying to release these at least once a week.
Yeah.
Did you ever end up figuring out what was going on with the audio when you were in the car?
I think it was my Bluetooth. It was connected to my Bluetooth on my truck, and it was interfering with my mic.
Oh, yeah.
I have to undo my Bluetooth because it's trying to patch through two different voice things.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just going through my mic, it's trying to use my stereo system more or less. And anybody that talks on a phone in their car, you can tell when they're on their phone in the car. It sounds way different.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So more or less when I'm driving down the road now, I don't use my mic. I just use the straight truck audio. And I'm probably going to end up getting a new mic that is going to be not like a plug and play that has the little like dongle key, I guess you could say, to where you plug it in, and it's a free based mic. I'll probably just get a wired mic for situations like that, or not do stuff in my truck. So maybe one of the two. So, which I had a lot of YouTubers that dealt with the same issue, and they stopped doing stuff in their truck while they were moving and anything like that.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. The one that I use, it's a Rode.
Yeah,
and it's for the lavalier.
Mhm.
And I just hook it up. I have an old Zoom that I plug it into, but that thing lasts hours before it dies. I did one of these on I think it was episode 8, if I remember correctly. And I did it on a boat a guy I was fishing with.
Yeah.
And I had to change out the GoPros, I want to say 3 times, which I was surprised how long those lasted. Because we were out there, I think like 4.5 hours, but the lavs lasted most of that time.
Yeah. That's my number one thing next is get a new lavalier mic. And I was going to go with Rode or DJI one of the two. I have a Movich for my actual like big camera that I use when I'm in the tree or anything like that. And it's awesome. It's a good little shotgun mic or whatever, and it's perfect. But that lavalier mic, I'm definitely going to switch over coming in season. I just got a new Hero 13 GoPro.
Yeah.
And the thing is awesome. Oh, it's so awesome. Like, I highly recommend if anyone has a previous GoPro, buy the new 13 because it is so good. The battery life's phenomenal. The audio quality is phenomenal, and not counting but the frame rate, everything it does is so high quality, like so. High. And I was impressed with it.
It would probably blow me away because I'm still using 4s.
Yeah. It's a little bit different. So.
A little bit different. You know, the cool thing, I still have this on my desk. So this is a extra little case that I bought. And there's different models you can get. But basically it holds the Rode mics in there, and it has a little extra pocket area for the actual lavs. But the case itself, I don't know if you can see the light, but it charges it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I could basically I could film like if I was in the tree stand like that, and then I get back to my truck, I can plug it in, and potentially if I have something as soon as I get home, they're already charged.
Right.
So that's been pretty handy to definitely get a lot of life out of them.
Yeah, that's why I want to switch over to one of the more high branded ones, just because of what you just had there. Mine is a plug and play. I had 2 separate mics that I could charge one. They'd last forever, but I'd charge one and then have the other one laying out as a backup just in case if something died. But I fell coming over a fence line in Ohio hunting that farm, and I guess it like unclipped from my shirt or whatever. So it's in a cow pasture somewhere in Hamilton.
Oh.
But
that's no fun.
Yeah, it is a bummer. I tried to find it, but I was like, yeah, this is like looking for a needle in a haystack, literally. And it wasn't possible. So, but that's my goal, is to get a new one here soon. I just accommodated a ton of new stuff already, so I got to wait to build the budget up again and buy more stuff. So,
yeah, I got to sell my shirts.
Yeah.
All right, back on topic.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm a squirrel. I have a squirrel brain. So you talk.
Oh no, you're good. I did this. I went on. I interviewed a guy who had his own podcast, and then I went on his podcast, and I was going all over the place. And I'm like, I'm doing Trump's weave. I'm just all over the place right now. I was trying to answer it would be a simple question for anybody else, but it was basically like, how did I get to the podcast? And I'm like, well, that's difficult because I have to tell you, I had to basically give my life story from two different perspectives, because I had like my religious life and I had my film life, and they were like separate basically when I was back when I was in LA, which like people basically like, you don't bring that up, otherwise you're not going to be able to work with people kind of thing. So that was part of it, and it put me in a dark place. And so I had to talk kind of how I lived almost two personalities, and then they bottlenecked essentially. And that's how I did the podcast. But as I was telling that, I'm like, well, then there's this part of the story, and then there's this part of the story.